1,000 stories, but you think you're lying. And I've heard a tender whisper of love in the dead of night, and you tell me that you're pleased and that I'm never alone. You're a good, good Father. So you are, so you are, so you are, and I'm loved by you. So I am, so I am, so I am. And I've seen many searching for answers far and wide, and I know we're all searching for answers. Only you provide, 'cause you know just what we need before we say a word. You're a good, good Father. So you are, so you are, so you are, and I'm loved by you. So I am, so I am, so I am. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways to us. Lord, you're perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways to us. Love so undeniable, I can hardly speak. Peace so unexplainable, I can hardly think as you call me. Deeper still as you call me. Deeper still as you call me. Deeper still into love. Love, 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 you're a good, good Father. So you are, so you are, so you are, and I'm loved by you. So I am, so I am, so I am. You're a good, good Father. So you are, so you are, so you are, and I'm loved by you. So I am, so I am, so I am.
Crime Tracker alert. Police are calling it a vicious attack. A man is in the hospital with burns over 60% of his body after a home invasion where someone poured acid on him.
It's unbelievable. There are still a lot of unanswered questions. News 2's Larry Flowers visited the Smyrna neighborhood where this all happened and how neighbors are reacting.
In the Summer Ridge subdivision in Smyrna, residents say not much goes on around here.
Low crime to no crime, I would say.
But last Thursday, they were shocked to find out one of their neighbors had been brutally attacked.
It's very horrific.
The victim, Christopher Phiouthong, was attacked while he was in the shower after someone broke into the home. Family members say his attacker used an extremely corrosive acid, which resulted in deep burns to over 60% of his body, complete facial disfigurement, and permanent loss of vision in both eyes. Crawley and other neighbors want answers.
People are wanting to know what happened. What was this young man targeted? Just was it random? Is a guy going around throwing acid on people, breaking in people's houses?
Phiouthong is a youth leader at a church at the Salvation Army South Campus in Nashville. Folks are wondering who could be so callous to pour acid on another person.
When you hear it, it's almost unbelievable because it is so evil and so cruel to do to another person.
His parents are officers with the Salvation Army in Thailand. His mom is by his side as he recovers.
We have no idea who would want to do such a horrible thing to a good person. Chris loved the Lord, and his life's mission was to teach children about Jesus.
A GoFundMe account has been set up for the victim to help pay medical bills. He did not have any insurance. Phiouthong has undergone surgery and has many more to come. If you have any information on who could have done this, call Smyrna Police. Live in the Crime Tracker Center, Larry Flow.
Hey, good evening, everyone. My name is Devin Robinson, and I happen to be a friend to Chris. Chris actually calls me his best friend, so I don't know if that offends anybody, but these are just the facts, okay? I'm just here to tell you that I am him, okay? And that's going to come back in a second on why that's important, but Chris's friendship has meant a lot to me. Over the years, I've known him pretty much half my life now. And Chris has been an inspiration for me. And it's funny because we went to high school together, and there was a point in time when we were hanging out, and he was like, Dev, you know, I always thought you were the coolest. I said, Chris, I thought you were the coolest. Like, what are you talking about? He has this demeanor about him that's just like super cool, super calm, as if nothing affected him ever. Just like always in a good mood. And I wanted to be that because I was angry at the world. So Chris came at a great time, and just his presence is everything. And we've been through so much. Classes, college, choirs, him harassing me about why I broke up with this girl or that girl. Him fighting with my dog. He never liked my dog. But it's all good, it's all love. And from that time to now, so much has changed. There's so many people who are not in our lives anymore. People we've lost. I don't even have my dog anymore, unfortunately. But how good is God that Chris is still here? Amen. Can you give God a hand clap of praise for that? I want to read a little bit of scripture. It comes from Psalm 66. I'm going to start at verse 16. Come and hear, all who fear God. Let me tell you what he's done for me. I cried out to him with my mouth. His praise was on my tongue. If I had cherished sin in my heart, the Lord would not have listened. But God has surely listened and has heard my prayer. Praise be to God, who has not rejected my prayer or withheld his love from me. God has not withheld his love from Chris, because Chris was not supposed to be here today, but he is. And my prayer was that my friend Chris would live to see at least just one more day. And he's here tonight. It makes me so excited. I can't emphasize that enough. So I'll say this. You all have had questions. You all have had concerns. You all have wondered who, why, how. And some of you may still be asking those questions even right now. God knows what we need and what it is that we need to hear tonight. And I believe that God is going to use Chris to speak to us in a mighty way tonight. So, Chris, I know you can hear me. You'll be coming out soon, but hear this. Chris, we are all so grateful that you're in our lives. I'm going to ask you all to continue to uplift our friend, our brother in Christ, Chris, because it takes a lot to do this, a whole lot. So let's encourage him. Let's be receptive to what God has to say. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, our friend, Chris.
God is good. All the time. Let me pray real quick. Dear Father God, if I'm dreaming again, please don't wake me up this time. Let me enjoy this time with my family, my friends, my colleagues, my peers, people I look up to, people I've done life with, gone to school with, work with. But if this is reality, God, and not just me under surgery or whatnot, then please guide my words. I pray when people look at me, hear my story, that it's not sadness that they feel, but it's hope. I pray that they would see you, God. Pray for all these things. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. I'm gonna stay seated if you guys don't mind. My legs don't work as good as they used to be. For anyone concerned about my appearance, trust me, it took a while to get used to it as well. But if you feel sad about my appearance, just do what I do when I look in the mirror and think of all this as a very long and a very painful way of getting slightly better parking. Right? Look, so this is a very, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, it's a very heavy testimony. But for anyone that knows me personally knows that I like to awkwardly add jokes in, so if you catch it, you are welcome to laugh. I highly encourage it. And there will be parts in my testimony that will be incredibly emotional and sad. I'm not crying, by the way. I take a lot of eye drops, so I'm not like crying right now, I promise. But if I get to a point that's very emotional, you don't need to come on stage and hug me and tell me, "Oh, it's gonna be okay, Chris. You'll get through this." You know, I'm here. I'm through it. I'm good. Yeah. So, before I thank a few folks, there's just two people I want to acknowledge who couldn't be here today, who I know would be here if they could. I didn't get a chance to attend their funerals because I was in the hospital. The first one, his name is Ricky Kotopo. He was one of the kids I used to teach. He was someone that was near and dear to my heart. I was like I said in the video, I was a youth teacher. I don't say youth pastor because I actually failed out of Bible college, so I said youth teacher, it's less formal. But, you know, he reminded me a lot of my brothers. You know, same characteristics, same love for his family and friends, and someone that is greatly missed. And the second person I want to acknowledge, I didn't get the pleasure of knowing that well, but his name, for those of you guys, Salvation Army, you guys know, his name was Damien Jackson. And he's one of those guys that didn't matter who you were, you could be the coolest kid or most socially awkward, he made you feel like you belonged there. And, you know, I just want to acknowledge them because they are deeply missed. I do have some people to thank. First off, I want to thank Christ Church Nashville for being so incredibly accommodating and welcoming us here. I actually picked this church because I used to live across the street, and when I was actually in high school, I think I snuck into the main chapel there, which was a good thing that they didn't lock the doors at the time and that I wasn't a troublemaker. But I went in to pray in the main chapel, and you know, that experience really spoke to me, so I really felt compelled to ask, let's see if we can do this here, and they've been more than welcome. So thank you guys. You know, I want to thank all the Salvation Army folks that have gotten the word out and fundraise. I would love to thank the track stars and the Christian hip hop or hip hop that's Christian community. I don't know what the pronouns are at this point. So thank you guys for using y'all's platforms to do benefit concerts, raise money, just get the name, get the word out there. I'd love to thank all my friends that did the same, especially got the GoFundMe started, because, you know, hospital bills are no joke. And I also want to thank a special someone who I will leave nameless, that is a constant reminder of how good God is and how good God has been to me. And one, thank Damien and Devin, who you guys saw up here earlier. They did not have to play music and speak on my behalf. They did so, and they did so beautifully. So thank you guys for always looking way cooler than me. Thank you guys. All right. So, and I don't know if there's any of the healthcare workers, professionals that worked on me. I don't know if they're in here. I know a few of them are watching. I just want to say, I know this, what I'm about to say is not theologically correct, so please forgive me on that. Like I said, I failed out of Bible college. If someone were to ask me what angels look like, I would point to all of those men and women at Vanderbilt Hospital and Skyline Medical Center. You know, you guys went far above and beyond to take care of me, as well as be incredibly loving and encouraging to my family, particularly my mom, who sat at my bedside. Yeah, I'm just grateful for that. I want to thank my dad, who couldn't be here due to family commitments, health-wise, so keep them in prayer overseas. My brother, who is in the back, he's an unsung hero in my story. Couldn't have happened, what happened to me couldn't have happened at a worse time. Senior year, he's about to graduate, and then this happens. And he does not complain. He doesn't make anything about himself. He's the most unselfish, loving, compassionate brother anybody could ask for. So I'm grateful for him. And I am grateful for my mom. She was there at my bedside the entire time, visiting hours, and then once that ended, she would go to sleep in the waiting room until the next day, and then come back, and then repeat that over and over again. She learned a lot, asked questions about nurses about my care, and ended up being my primary caretaker once I was out of the hospital. She has done more for me than any parent should ever have to do with their child, especially at my age. I am forever indebted to God that I got to have you as my mom, and that I got to be your son. I don't say it enough, but I love you. Thank you. There's probably a few more folks I am forgetting to thank, so if I didn't thank you, feel free to hit me up on Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. I will respond eventually, maybe. So thank you for that. So, a little bit about me prior, just to set the, I don't know how the fuck's going on now. So to set the table, I was a 20-something-year-old getting ready to go to the church conference called Youth Councils in Salvation Army. It was a Thursday night, and I remember going downtown to see a group of guys called Social Club Misfits at Rocketown. And before they did their show, and by the way, I went there for Track Stars to do a concert review, so it wasn't just going there in the middle of the week. I was there business, plus they make great music. They had this pastor, tour pastor, speaking, and he was talking about, adopting children overseas. And to be honest, most people, they weren't paying attention. They were, going to the restroom, buying merch, but something about that really spoke to me. And it was something that was always on my to-do list, but for one reason or another, I just never got around to it. But it's saw an opportunity, so I went there that day or that night and went to the table, picked a kid at random with a name that I could not pronounce. I think it was an 11, 12-year-old girl from Europe, I'm not sure where, but just felt really good to do that. And had a great show. Always somehow end up in front of the speakers for some reason, but my hearing has been messed up since marching band days, but it's still a great show nonetheless. And I'm walking out and I see someone, an artist I also looked up to, one of the coolest guys, named Mowgli the Iceberg. Probably the coolest rap name I could ever have thought of or have ever heard of, came across. R.I.P. DiCaprio, but great name nonetheless. I just said, little fan questions. When's an album coming out? Eventually, just normal stuff. And I say that because he was very kind, but he would also be the last person I would talk to that night. Thursday, worked, Devin, he was actually my boss. Prior to that, it was just a long work day of answering phone calls and pretending to know where people's paychecks are. So very angry people for understandable reasons. And so by the time I got to the concert, already tired, driving home, and the area I lived in at the time, which was kind of mentioned, but just to paint a better picture, really nice area, Target, Chick-fil-A, fire station, hospital, a Caucasian barrel, just a very, very nice area. 6 years, I'm not trying to get canceled, so, whatever PC term is. And pretty much nothing happens in that area. It's very suburban, right? And I was living actually with my big sister at the time, play sister, not actual sister, and her family. And we're in the process of moving. They had already moved out. I was in the process planning to pack up after youth councils, church conference. So get home, and I already know I'm not going to wake up. It's Friday. I'm trying to enjoy sleep, so I'm just going to shower now, and then try to get as much sleep before we work the next day. But super good mood, happy. Got to see one of my favorite bands perform, getting ready for a church conference, and also, got settled with this job, like I mentioned earlier. Was getting ready to put myself back out there, get back into dating, surprisingly, because, that's what guys do when they're 20s, they date, And, getting ready with my brother, about to graduate, he's coming back, about to move in together. And, I was going to really get to know my brother. There's a 10-year age gap between us, so, there's a good chunk of our childhood that was kind of hard to kind of connect, not due to either one of us, just life, So, but either way, just a lot to look forward to. Even the picture, I don't know, it's still up, yeah. Even the picture right there, not the pizza picture, that's just me being dumb at work and somehow not getting fired. But the main picture right there, actually from a photo shoot, I was planning to get back into modeling. So, you know, I figure, you know, there's not a lot of Asian folks in Nashville, so I probably have a good chance of getting some work. So, you know, optimistic, I guess, you know. So I go in, go take a shower, and mind you, most of the house, my room, in the bathroom, lights are on, the rest of the house is dark. Like, you can't see maybe this much in front of your face. It was that super late at night. And, you know, I don't have my phone on me. It's in my bedroom. And I hear this knocking on the wall outside the house. And, you know, I'm not thinking too much of it. I'm not all the way there. I'm already half asleep. I'm tired. And I'm just assuming, what's that knocking sound? I mean, or I'm assuming it's just pipes or something. I don't know what it is. I'm just trying to finish showering so I can get sleep. And I hear it again, louder, on this side. The bathroom door is over there. Then I'm hearing the knocking on the wall outside here. And I don't know what's going on. I'm just ignoring. I'm just, it's just some bad pipes or something. And then I hear loud knocking, 4 knocks. And, you know, I'm thinking, oh, maybe it's my big sister or her boyfriend at the time. And, you know, maybe they're just coming in late to pick up some furniture or something upstairs. Because most of the house was already empty, but there's maybe some stuff upstairs. That's what I'm thinking. Like, she's trying to call me, she can't get in because I don't have my phone over there or something. And, you know, I opened the door, the bathroom door, just to get ready to yell, hold on, give me a sec. But before I could even say anything, couldn't even time it any better. The moment I opened the bathroom door, my front door gets kicked in. And, you know, I am completely scared to the point I can't move. I used to think horror movies, when people get scared, they fall and trip over themselves. You just think, why don't you just get up and run? It's obvious, but, you know, I understand that you can be so scared that your body just completely freezes up and you can't move. It's like sleep paralysis, like you're aware, but you just can't do anything. And I'm staring at this silhouette. So my bathroom door is right here. Front door is over there. And this silhouette of a person staring back at me. And mind you, I am completely naked just because I just opened the door just to yell. I wasn't, you know, ready to present myself or anything. I'm just at the most vulnerable I could possibly be. Staring at this person, staring back at me. They're not moving. So I assume that they're gonna rob me. And, you know, I'm not gonna put up a fight because, you know, what's material things to your life? You know, insurance, I got money, I can replace, you know, my phone, just get a new one. So I'm not gonna fight back. As I begin to lift my hands to, you know, just to show that I'm not a threat, that I'm not gonna fight back, that they can take whatever they want. I see something come from my left side. And keep in mind, I can only see about maybe this much in front of me, because that's how dark the house is. And it's like this pinkish liquid thing, and a lot of it. And I only see it like a fraction of a second right before it hits me, so I don't even have time to react. And it turns out to be sulfuric acid. And a sound came out of me that I've never made prior. I've never heard myself make. I've never tried to make. And my body instantly collapses to the floor. I don't know what's going on. I just know every inch of my body is just screaming pain. I don't know what's going on, but if I wasn't awake then, I was awake now. And I'm stumbling, I can't stand up, so I can't get to the sink. So I'm just crawling to the bathtub. And for some reason I can't even get the thing to get water out of the tub. I'm just stumbling, so I'm having to pull water out the toilet, trying to get acid out of my eyes. Just trying to see at least what's going on. And the only two thoughts that are going through my head is, one, that this can't be real. This can't be happening. Then two, if I don't get out of this house, I am going to die. So I stumble my way out, screaming. And looking back, the fact that I'm staring at that silhouette person, but acid came from my left, means that I was likely targeted, and I don't know why. And either they were already in the house waiting until I was most vulnerable, or they came in through the back door. But either way, they did what they came to do, and they left. I guess they ran away, either scared that I would attract attention, or that's all they came to do, was just to harass me. I stumble out the house, and I feel the cool breeze of the night, and thank God it was a cool night in April, because that's the only thing that helped relieve the pain a little bit on my body. But I'm stumbling, naked, covered in acid, just screaming at the top of my lungs for help, hoping one of my neighbors wake up, see something, do something, call someone. And this next part I've not shared with anyone. I've not shared with family, any of my close friends. I've not shared even with any of my therapists. I saw my neighbor, my next door neighbor, driveway full of cars, meaning everyone's home, porch lights on, and every window lights are on, meaning not only were they all home, but they were all awake. So I stumbled into their yard to their front door and just ringing the doorbell and knocking on the door, just begging for help. And I must have been doing that for 10, 15 minutes, just begging for help, and at the end, I'm just begging for them to acknowledge my humanity, if nothing else. And eventually I give up. Right? And I'm looking to my neighbors next on the other side of them. Next 4 or 5 houses down, completely dark. Driveways mostly empty, so either they're not home or if they're home, they're asleep. So no help really there. And I already know that I am on a timetable. That if I don't get help soon, I'm not going to make it. I'm thinking maybe I'm going to try and walk across the streets. But my strength, whatever is left, my strength was pretty much fading at that point. And I am just crawling at that point, crawling down my neighbor's driveway. The neighbor that would not open the door or even say anything to me. And as I'm crawling to the street, a cop car pulls up. I guess one of the neighbors called them. And by the time I get to the street, the cop car's made it down the road. And he looks at me, and he was, I could tell he was unnerved, not knowing how to react, trying to be professional, but I could just tell he was not expecting to see what he saw. And he got in the ambulance. And the ambulance came after my neighbors left me for dead. And they had to help me get on the gurney, take me to the hospital that I mentioned was close by, and they sprayed what was left, the acid that was on me. And the thing about acid, by the way, it's they're very sticky when it burns, so it kind of hooks onto you. It doesn't just fall off. It's not something you want to touch with your bare hands, let alone have thrown on your body. And they tried to spray off as much as they could, but they weren't equipped to deal with all that. Just a local hospital. So they put me in the ambulance again to take me to Vanderbilt. And EMT is just asking me, who do we need to call? Who's your emergency contacts? And I told them that we needed to contact Linda, who was my big sister, who I was living with. During this time, my family is overseas, working in the Salvation Army, and my brother's in school overseas, so immediate family is on the other side of the world. And thank God that they called Linda L.I., and not one of my kids, also named Linda, whose name is spelled L.Y., because this is a horrible call to get, but especially if you're a teenager at the time. I wouldn't wish that call on any teenager to hear that their teacher is going to the ICU. So, but yeah, as I told them, my mind just shuts down, and as fast as flicking a light switch, I blacked out, unconscious, not expecting to wake back up. It's not like in the movies, not for me at least, where, I'm using the last of my strength to say, tell my family I love them and all this. It just, things ended just like that. And, in the hospital, and, I am laid up, covered bandages and got, all these things hooked up to me, just all of the IV you can think of, everything you've seen on, House or Grey's Anatomy, just pretty much everything you would see just on steroids, just incredibly, just trying to do whatever they can to save me. The burns were significant to the point that I was given it was told to me later on that I had a 65% chance of dying. And the only reason why I didn't die, or the reasons why I didn't die, outside of God deeming it so, was the fact that I was relatively young. I've been 21 for a few years now, not in my 30s. I promise I'm 21 for about a decade now. I don't know why y'all laughing. I'm Asian, I know how numbers work. So, in fact, I was young. I didn't drink, and I didn't do drugs, because, I did dare as a kid, so I think that helped out a lot. But yeah, those were the big factors. Had I drank or did drugs or been a little bit older, I probably wouldn't be here. God bless Dr. Summit, all the doctors, surgeons, nurses, everyone that worked on me. Early on, they had a bunch of heating lamps around me because so much of my skin was burned that I couldn't maintain a safe body temperature. So I could have, frozen to death, pneumonia. I was at high risk of that in April. And, they had to plug sometimes my stomach to pump in nutrients and medicine. I had what is called hypermetabolism. Is where your body is digesting so much to try to compensate. So they constantly have to pump nutrients into my body to help my body heal itself, basically. And it was during this time that my mom eventually came over from Thailand, took the next flight out the moment she heard the news. My brother, like I mentioned, was in high school, his senior year, about a month away from graduating, so it wasn't really practical for my brother and my dad to leave. They would eventually be there later, as you'll see later, but my mom came and she called out to me, and I couldn't say anything at the time. I couldn't move. All I could do with my hand, with my index finger, was move it just a little bit. With my index finger just a little bit. To show that underneath this mess that lay on that bed in the ICU was her son, that he was still in there. And early on, ICU, it was very scary. I remember begging nurses not to turn the lights off. I was terrified of the dark, and I was just begging nurses, please take me into the lobby with you guys, please don't leave me alone. To the point that I held one of my nurses and I would not let go. And I guess my mind imagined the most calming thing it could think of to try to relax me, not help me to not panic. And I imagined I was slow dancing with my nurse to try to calm down. And they had to sedate me. I had night terrors for days. Just trying to, help work on me, deal with me, and whatnot. My face felt like a mask, because it was so numb. And, I couldn't do anything. I was unable to talk for months. I was having to spell words into the air, and then eventually to my nurse's hand. And I was spelling the word water repeatedly. My neck got burned significantly, to the point that it was very high risk for pneumonia if I drank too much water. So I can only have a few drops of water every hour. And doing swallow tests with water and applesauce, just trying to prove that I can drink water safely. And it was tough, to the point that I couldn't see what my hospital room looked like. I imagined it was like a nurse's room where they had a sink in there or something, and I was willing with everything in me, all these needles, IVs, everything, that I was willing to risk hurting myself to try to get to that sink that didn't exist to drink water. And my mind was healing as well as my body. But I knew my mom was there. And the nurses gave me something, I think it was Mother's Day around this time or something, I don't entirely remember. I just remember writing, "I love you, Mom," on paper, and that's the note I wrote right there. If you look where it says Mom, I kept writing Mom over and over, because I was just trying to tell my mom that I love her, because I didn't know if I was going to make it. So, I'm trying to get to the next surgery, next thing. I'm always asking, once I was able to speak a little bit, or once I was able to understand a little bit, trying to figure out when's the next surgery, when's the next surgery, when's the next surgery. And the reason was not just because I wanted to try to get through this recovery as fast as I could, because I was seeing things when I was under surgery. This thing in my neck right here, it's to pump in knockout gas, basically. And this is something I'll have to wear for the rest of my life, in case there are any medical complications down the road. But I remember wanting to get to the next surgery, because if I can get to the next surgery, then I'll see my family, I'll see my friends, I'll see my kids. I'll even be able to go back to work. Who dreams of going back to work, right? If you love your job, God bless you, but I don't like dealing with angry folks. I think anybody does. I remember the first thing I saw. I remember living at my old house, actually. I didn't even question it, just getting ready to go into work. Saw my boy Devin, saw all these other people I worked with, and just getting up in the middle of the day and just leaving for some reason. And I get in my car, like I can't turn, I'm just going down this hill. And I can't get my car, I'm going into the road. And it just ends right there and just goes back to reality or next thing I saw. Because it's kind of all blurred this time period. Some of it was, just hallucinations from the medicine I was on. Some of it from being on the edge of life and death was purgatory. Seeing stuff that I really didn't understand. But eventually, I got to see people I love and care about, not just in my dreams, not even as someone that I didn't think was possible to see, but I got to see my family for real. My dad and my brother, they come in, and after he graduates, and they are trying to be strong or whatnot, but there's nothing they can do. It's just waiting for things to heal and whatnot. I remember in that time in the ICU begging nurses to be gentle with me, because I was so physically weak that a toddler could have killed me. And I'll say it one more time, just to give you an idea how outlandish that sounds. I was so physically weak that a toddler could have killed me without much effort. So every bit of physical contact hurt. Fortunately, nurses, everyone was so gracious, loving, and kind to me, kind to my family. And eventually, I was able to be released. Nurses, everyone lined up at the door that I'm exiting. And they throw confetti, and they're just happy, and they're crying as I'm leaving, because if they don't have to deal with me, that means that I am not on the verge of life and death, that I'm going to live. I remember getting to the ambulance to be transferred from Vanderbilt to Skyline Medical Center. EMTs telling me that what he saw from those nurses, he's never seen nurses do for anyone, any patient. So, just overwhelmed by love at that point. I get to Skyline, get to go through physical therapy, learning how to speak again, which is a pain. Being a grown man, having to learn how to do vowels again. So that's not fun. I still don't know why it's a vowel, so if someone wants to tell me after, please inform me, because I went to school, public school here, which is, and it was definitely rough in the sense of there were moments where they had to stretch my arms so I wouldn't completely lose my ability to move. That sucked, because there's no, I asked, could you do that when I'm not awake? It's like, no. It's just like, oh dear God, please just send me back to Vanderbilt. Oh God, just, even, eventually I saw one of my kids who was a family friend. For those of you guys that didn't come to the hospital or weren't aware or don't know who I was before today, my family was very private, and I was in no condition to be seen by anyone, to be honest. But also there was an open investigation, and there was a chance that, my attackers were looking to possibly, come back and attack me again. So it was very quiet on that front. And I I don't want to say what I have to say. I need to say it's just to understand what my family and I were up against. For the few people, mostly pastors, church, family friends, whatnot, that came to visit me. 2 people came to visit me that did something that I still don't understand why. Everyone that came to visit me was told not to share my location, not to share which hospital I was at. They were told to be quiet about my whereabouts, and they took it upon themselves to publicly share on social media that I was in the Vanderbilt ICU fighting for my life. And the only reason why I am not publicly naming them is because I have an immense amount of love for their children and the rest of their extended family. So you'll understand when I say that if I had any reason to hate the people that attacked me, I despise those 2 people far worse. Because, not just because they put me in harm's way, they put my family in harm's way. And, at least the people that attacked me had the decency to wait until my big sister and her daughter and her boyfriend were not in the house. And that's something I take absolutely no joy in sharing. But I need to share just to give you guys an idea. But, after being at Skyline, and I saw a family friend, one of the kids I used to teach, and he saw me, but he didn't, as a kid, teenager, obviously uncomfortable. And I remember telling him, I guess I really didn't understand how bad the damage was despite being in the ICU. I remember telling him, hey, tell Ricky and Anthony and everyone that I'll be out in about a month. We go back to normal, picking you guys up for church, blaring music, and just back to being normal. And that was a lie that I didn't know I was telling. I remember bathing for the first time. This is after 6 years of healing. Can't tell from my face and whatnot. I remember seeing my body for the first time, all the damage that had been done when I was completely naked, hit with acid. I remember when I saw what was done to me from the neck down, being grateful that God had made me the way that He had made me. Because if He had made me any different, I don't know if I would have been able to cope with all the damage I've seen, let alone not completely break down. Which, for anyone in my shoes, would have been the appropriate response, complete breakdown. I remember looking down and thinking, man, I could really go for some barbecue right now. I really really wish I was lying about that. That was legitimately my first thought. I don't know if that's appropriate, but God, I look delicious. Thank you, God, for the sense of humor you gave me. That's what I can say. But I knew that if I could have a sense of humor about that, I was going to be okay. Again, not crying, just weird to cry with barbecue. So eventually get out of the hospital, and I in bed, and my mom is doing her best to take care of me. My brother is in school, but he's helping out when he can, trying to find balance. And like I mentioned at the beginning, he's the unsung hero. He wasn't really doing any clubs or getting to really meet new people. So God bless him, just managing as well as he did during that time. And down the road, eventually, I had a real breakdown down the road where I was bathing with the assistance of my mom at that time. I remember scrubbing my thigh right here. And, there are parts of my legs that are red, brownish, that were burned completely to the bone. My thigh, my knee, some parts of my leg. And I remember, I don't know, I just became hysterical trying to scrub these scars, like it was just dirt or something, trying to scrub myself clean. And my mom trying her best to just calm me down. And eventually I got dressed, and I don't know if it was that night, but if not that night, it was soon after. I just remember after how many weeks laying in bed, having to be taken care of, having to do physical therapy, and physical therapy was pretty much just sitting up and laying back down, and sitting up, laying back down, and just lifting up my legs a little bit. Very, very humbling stuff. And I remember one night just giving up. I remember I could not stop saying, just let me go. I just kept saying that over and over, not even to my mom, but just past my mom. And I'm walking to my front door with every intention of walking out my front door, getting onto Bradley Parkway, and walking into oncoming traffic. And I became just so mad at myself that I wasn't strong enough to turn the doorknob all the way to be able to open that door. I just sat down, feeling so defeated. Not just because I experienced that attack, but because I wasn't strong enough to finish what they started. My mom held me and my brother held me. I just let loose is all the emotion I've been holding on to. All the anger, sadness, disappointment, everything in that moment. You know, just in my spirit just yelling to God. You know, just wondering why. You know, if I was hanging out with bad people or in a bad area of town or doing something I wasn't supposed to be doing, I could understand. There is a reasoning for that. But I was attacked in my own home, in a safe area. You know, I taught kids about Jesus at 3 different churches at the time. You know, I went to Christian rap concerts. I was getting ready for a church conference and I worked in a call center. On paper, I'm the least threatening person. You know, I don't know what the justification could possibly be. I was just angry. I just wanted to know why. God, I wake up in pain. I go to sleep in pain. Every single breath hurts, God. Why? Why? My parents came to this country with nothing, and yet this is what you give them. They are doing your work, trying to bring the Salvation Army to Thailand for the first time, trying to bring the gospel to that part of the world. I just wondered why, served faithfully. Almost my entire life. Just wondering. Why? And, you know, it was not enough that I had to go through hell. But I was forced to be a witness to the toll it would take on my family. I would have rather died that night, get hit with acid 1,000 times in the sea, that pain on my family, see them carry that burden. And I just remember yelling to God, my spirit yelling to God. If I am to somehow still be permitted to heaven, you will have to beg for my forgiveness. And if I am condemned to hell, at least I'm ready. If you weren't going to stop them, God, if you weren't going to save me, why couldn't you just let me die? And in that moment, with my mom and my brother holding me, it was like a weight was lifted off of me. Just became a reminder of how good confession is. And even if we don't get answers from just to leave our burdens instead of holding on to them. From that day, slowly I recovered, regained my personality, fully a sense of humor. Yeah, just my love and desire for life. Craving normalcy, craving the routine of waking up, going to work, coming home, wanting to date, get married, start a family, buy a house. Well, not a house around here, it's expensive, but a house in general. God, people need to stop moving natural. Anyways, normalcy was something I was so afraid of. I was so afraid as a kid, ending up in a boring life. And I ran away to New York after I graduated. Got arrested for stealing food, almost got killed because I was too scared to talk about my feelings and confide in someone. Came back, tried to do the school thing at MTSU, and they wanted to be all liberal and progressive and kick out an Asian dude for failing math. Which is not even a joke, that actually happened. It's not even a joke. It actually legitimately happened. So, I like to break stereotypes, I guess. But ended up teaching kids. That was only meant to be temporary, a few months, maybe a year, while I was trying to figure myself out, I'll do some good, while I'm trying to figure myself out, gotta pay bills, and might as well try to make a difference. Ended up loving what I did. Those kids ended up being like, to be cousins, or little brothers, little sisters. And some of them, like sons and daughters, as I would like to have someday. And I say all that because that passion, that love for life, and love for serving, slowly came back after the night I tried to end everything. And all the barrage of text and messages and donations, everything, from all of you, everyone watching online, even people in other countries, people I know casually, Singapore, Malaysia, Myanmar, praying for me. My dad, who does ministry to the elderly and to inmates in prisons, he telling some of those folks that have done horrible things, they themselves would say what was done to me was far too cruel. Having folks even on death row praying for me. And even not till recently, learning, after I specifically requested a copy of my bill for the 3-4 months I was in the hospital. A bill maybe about this thick, front and back, of just papers, everything itemized. And the GoFundMe, which if you share, donate to that, thank you so much. Still, that money is still taking care of us, so incredibly grateful for all that I helped out with that. But I saw the total, how much everything costs. All the surgeries, time in the hospital, all the medicines, the IV. It amounted to a total of little over $5 million, which would have completely bankrupted my family. Nothing short of winning the lottery would have gotten rid of that bill. And we paid maybe $500 about that. And keep in mind, I was uninsured when this happened. God bless all the social workers that sat with my mom, tried to find every little program they could to try to help me, every financial assistance, all of that, and even doctors telling me that if Medicare does not cover the surgery, I will operate on you for free. How can I? There's no amount of thank yous I can possibly say in this life for everything, not just for that bill, but for everything that was shown to me. Part of the reason why I said that prayer in the beginning, that I don't know if this day is real, is because everything the world says that it's supposed to suck. This world is supposed to be awful. Everything's falling apart. Recession, cultural war, or something. Just everything is just going down the gutter. And yet I was shown an incredible amount of love and empathy and kindness and care. And I see, looking around this room, my eyesight isn't great, by the way, so if I don't notice that you're here until we get up close, that's why my eyesight is still iffy at times. I see people from every part of my life just to show love to me. And I wish myself in 5th grade, myself in sophomore year of high school, and myself that night that I tried to end everything. 3 times in my life that I tried to kill myself. I wish those 3 times, those 3 versions of me could sit right here and see how much we are loved, how much we're cared for. And I wish every person that's ever struggled with self-doubt, with anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts, could sit up here and just see people from their lives, love on them. Because I'm grateful to be up here. I'd much rather be sitting out there with all of you. But I'm grateful to be able to be in this room nonetheless. But I know I've shared a lot. So I'll end it with this. Whether you're here in person or watching online, if what you leave this place with is something along the lines of, that sucks what happened to Chris, but I'm glad he's okay now. If that's what you leave this place with, then I have honestly failed you. I probably should have saved you guys the drive, some of you guys a flight, some of you guys watch online, you guys data bill. Probably should have saved you guys the hassle and just died that night in an ambulance or on an operating table, if that's what you leave this place with. But if you leave this place, when you hear my story, just understand that something deeper has been present throughout not just my life and this experience, not just the entirety of my life, but from the moment my parents heard the gospel in Thailand, that caused them to come here, that caused them to experience racism, being discriminated against by not just random folks, co-workers, but also be discriminated against by people from our own community, would still come to become pastors and eventually missionaries for the Salvation Army, would start the process of bringing the gospel to Thailand. That set me up for a good life, that set my brother up for a good life, that set the stakes, that set the things that would help me help teach kids at 3 different churches about Jesus, who he is and how great he is. If you leave this place understanding or even being just remotely curious about that kind of hope that could change you, and not in an abstract, oh, you know, I go to churches on Easter and Christmas and I want some chicken, you know, like just a real hope, not in some, am I good, I raise my bed, or I don't pray to God, but I pray to the universe. Not that nonsense, but a real kind of transformative hope that can change you in the person you were created to be, living the life that you were meant to live in Christ Jesus alone. If my story can help you see that when you leave this place, everything, every single thing that my family's been put through, everything that I've experienced, every single second of pain, every single moment of doubt, and every single drop of acid is worth it. If you can truly see, feel, or at least be curious about the kind of hope that somehow it doesn't allow me to hate the people that did this to me. And it still allows me a sense of humor despite the obvious. It allows you to see a life that you were meant to live, being the person you were created to be. That every second of pain, moment of doubt, and drop of acid is worth it. And if you still have doubts, in what other circumstance could I say that all of this is worth it? All of this, I'm not doing the John Cena thing, by the way, I'm using drugs. So, all we can say is, God's good. All the time.
Think you're alive, but I've heard a tender whisper of love in the dead of night, and you tell me that you're pleased and that I'm never alone. You're a good, good father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. And I've seen many searching for answers far and wide, but I know we're all searching for answers. Only you provide, 'cause you know just what we need before we say a word. You're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways to us. Oh, love, so undeniable, I can hardly speak. Peace so unexplainable, I can hardly think as you call me. Deeper still as you call me. Deeper still as you call me. Deeper still into love. Love, 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 you're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am.
I love you guys more than you ever know. Thank you. And go right to the Q&A. I know you guys probably have some questions and whatnot. Hopefully the questions aren't a little too weird.
Once the news broke and the job found out about what happened to Chris, they donated more money to that man than my check has ever seen. So,
Tell him I said thank you.
but what you did tonight takes a lot of courage, takes a lot of heart. I'm sure it takes a lot out of you. Do you need water or anything? You want some water?
Yeah, I wish I had like a Dr. Pepper or something, or a vodka or something. That'd be nice.
Okay.
I'm good.
Well, I'll tell you this, it was crazy because when I was first able to go to the house to come see you, I wasn't really sure what to expect, and gave you a hug. We hugged a couple times, it was emotional. But I was like, what have you been up to today? His mother said, eating. And I was like, okay, Chris is still in there. But I kind of want to talk about, well, I'm going to be from the cars and I'm going to have my own questions too, if that's okay. So, can you tell the people here today, you talked about you picturing slow dancing with your nurse, and that helped you in that moment. What else kept you going when you thought about giving up at certain times?
I'm trying not to give the obvious answers of all the messages I got, because I think that's a given. I didn't respond to a lot of messages because it just became overwhelming, and it's kind of hard to have the same conversation over and over again. Oh, how you doing? I'm good. How's your family doing? We're good. You recovering? Going okay? Yeah. And then imagine having that hundreds of times. That's, So if I didn't respond to a direct message or a text or something, that's why it's not personal. It's just for my mental health. Funny enough, just movies, TV shows, and whatnot. It was just a way to kind of forget about that about what was. I'm living vicariously through characters in TV shows and movies, and and just until my psyche is just adjusting to all this as normal. So I think just being able to escape through media and whatnot. Thank God it wasn't like back in the day or something where I actually had to learn how to read a book or something. Jesus, I do not like to read. Probably why it took me a decade to graduate from college. All right, yeah, next question.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because it's been 6 years, and a lot has happened, a lot has changed since then. Can you tell them about some of your accomplishments since then?
Yeah. A month ago, I graduated from the Harvard of online local community colleges in natural studies. Yeah, just kind of something I just wanted to finish and figure out a lot of time at home, so why not? Just get back into writing. I am working on 3 books. An autobiography, which is going to have a lot of stuff that I had to omit just for time's sake, and because, don't want to keep y'all here for 34 hours. Oof. I think we have all probably cried enough, right? Children's book and a motivational book, so hopefully I have some news on that. That's why when you came in, I asked for y'all's emails, so hopefully I can keep you guys updated on that. Also just say thank you to you guys personally.
Before the service started, I was quickly reminded of who you are to so many people. I know who you are to me. I know who you are to your mom and your brother. But I saw you embrace one of your kids, and I saw that interaction. And you're so many different things to so many different people. So there's this question here that I'm going to ask, and it came from Dane. Dane is here. We went to high school with Dane. We all. Dan wants to know, when are you going to start breakdancing again?
I think I gave that up at MTSU. I was like, yeah, breaking stereotypes again. I cannot breakdance. 2 for 2.
I have this video of Chris. He was not doing anything in class that was class related. He was just dancing. So. But since you won't do that, what is a long-term goal that you happen to have now?
Obviously, it's just sharing this testimony because it's a very unique testimony that, when you think about what, acid attacks, you think it's something that happens in a third world country. You don't really think of it as something that happens here in America. And especially from my community, from Asian community, Southeast Asian community, you really don't have stories, testimonies like that, particularly in Christian or evangelical spaces. And it's just because there's just not a lot of us, right? So I think, testimony with my background, I think it'd be a huge blessing, especially because people assume that, when they look at me, it's like, oh, I feel sad for this person. We got to pray for this person, which you can always pray for me. I always welcome it. Pray for you guys too. But I think people are going to be surprised that when I come in, they see joy rather than just the hardships of, what I carry.
Amen. I had mentioned that Dane is over there. He's here with his beautiful partner. And she asked me a question, and she asked me basically what I learned throughout these 6 years, speaking with you and the conversations we've had. And one of the biggest takeaways for me was that throughout all of this, your heart never grew cold. And you're still being a light, and you're still letting God use you. And that's so important because it's something I wish someone had spoken into me when I was younger. Because life does happen. to all of us. But we can't grow cold because God is too good for that.
I would say, just to be transparent, it did grow cold a couple times. I've been to plenty of church events growing up, and I always saw someone guest speaker, and I was like, man, their faith must be so good that life is easy for them. And now being up here, I'm just like, ooh, what did I ask for? But it's not a picnic. I doubt it. I wanted to throw everything away. But it was two apparent. I love my show. My brother who never complained, my mom who never complained, constantly strong, and still vulnerable. It's not like she just played tough the entire time, but the fact that it was just so apparent how God's not giving up on me. I couldn't deny God even if I wanted to, and I don't.
That really touches me. It really does. Whether you say words or not, just your life is just really a light to me. But I bring that up to say, if you could speak to your younger self, this is actually a question here, but I have this question too. If you could speak to your younger self, what advice would you give, knowing what you know now?
It depends how young we're going.
Young enough to understand.
Well, because I'm 21, so it's not really
Chris is older than me, and that young man back there called me sir. I said, please don't do that again.
Oh yeah, am I older?
I think so, Chris.
I identify as younger. All right, so all right. I don't know. I don't think I would say anything. I think it's so easy to change the past or live with some kind of regret. But it's I did an interview with W Channel 2 here in Middle Tennessee. And one of the questions, or something I said after the interview, wasn't even on camera, and God bless her for even taking the time to reach out a few years ago. I was telling her, it's people want something because they think if they get this something, that's when life can start. That's why I thought about New York. I thought, once I get to New York, then my life can start. Or once I get with this girl, then my life can start. Constantly looking at the grass on the other side. But if I can take care of the grass, that's where I'm standing. It will flourish far more than I could have ever imagined. And I think taking care of that grass is going through the experiences that you take for granted. We always think about the destination, but look down the journey. So I wouldn't say anything to my past self because that journey of depression, those failed suicide attempts, and failing in New York, failing out of college, but ending up teaching kids and falling in love with teaching children, teenagers, young adults, and Jesus, we are old. And it helped prepare me to face this thing. And I'm a better man because of it, so I wouldn't say it.
Amen. You brought up New York a few times, and I remember when we were still teens, the first time I was invited over to your house, we talked about New York. I'm from the Bronx, for those who don't know me. And I remember your parents talking to my parents saying, we understand he wants to go to New York. We'd feel much better if he went with Devin. And now, years after when you told me what occurred, now I understand exactly why they want you to go with me. So I'm glad you're here again.
Yeah, it's a weird sight to be taken out in handcuffs for stealing Pop Charts in Spanish Harlem. God, it really does have a sense of humor.
Well, what ultimately made you want to tell your story tonight? you told me that you wanted to do this last year. You knew that you wanted me to speak briefly, and I told you I'd do that, and I gave you my word. There was a piece of me that hoped you forgot, because, hearing your story it angered me a bit again, but the thing about it is this could have been a completely different kind of service. Amen? Amen. So I'm more than happy to be here and to be doing this with you, but, what made you want to tell your story in the first place?
I really didn't want to respond to all those messages, so I figured I'd just get it all done once. Yeah, I like to take my time with things. Honestly, everyone has a testimony, right? It's a privilege to carry burdens. It's an honor to go through hardships, right? For me, it's something unique and something special to be able to bear this burden, to bear my cross, so to speak, right? So it would be incredibly rude and selfish. I might as well be throwing a middle finger to God if I didn't gather the courage and the healing to be able to tell this story. So it was almost a responsibility, I felt like.
And putting it into words, can you say that your relationship with Christ has grown deeper? And how so, if you can put it into words?
I think it really just nailed the conviction like an anchor. Obviously, I'm still having to relearn things or try to figure things out because it took me a long time just to be comfortable seeing my face. So being in public was really a process. Just started going back to church recently and just trying to very much just become acclimated and being among people again. So it grew. My faith in Christ grew deeper almost out of necessity. It's either I grow or I throw my faith away completely. So I'd rather grow than give up on something that carried me through a hardship.
Amen. Yeah. Tear me up. All right, well, I'm going to ask a pretty general question, but I think it's a question a lot of us want to know. Physically, emotionally, spiritually, how are you feeling today, like right now in this moment?
Physically, my back hurts. Emotionally, when I say my back hurts, I'm just complaining about that. So I'm just first world problems. Emotionally,
Chris, tell them how you initially wanted to open this service. Tell them what you told me that you wanted to do.
Oh gosh. So initially, I knew people were going to be like sad, emotional, especially when y'all would see me. So I had this idea that, thank God you talked me out of it. I wanted to come on stage with a cane and be all dramatic and really milk, just milk it. And then just throw a can away and they're like, yeah, what's up, man? Yeah.
The way you described it was Willy Wonka style.
Yeah, exactly.
So, somebody tells me what their ideas and plans are. If I like it, I'm like, oh, that's hot, that's dope, But if I don't, I'm like, well, did you pray on it? That's exactly what I said. God told you the right thing.
Yeah.
But you also spoke about not knowing specifically who was involved. And you did speak towards some of your feelings, towards some people that you were associated with after the fact while you were in the hospital, things of that nature. So I'm sure dynamics with friends and acquaintances have changed over the years. But overall, how would you say your journey of forgiveness is going? And that's forgiveness for any reason.
It's a process. Initially, early on, when I was in the ICU at Vanderbilt, there was someone from one of the news stations that wanted to interview me. And thank God they didn't, because if they did, I would have been like, yeah, I forgive the people that attacked me. But I would have said that because I didn't understand how bad the situation was. When I think about the people that attacked me, I don't hate them, I pity them. Because as much as I wear their fear and their cowardice on just about every inch of my body, these are battle scars. And if they were willing to do something like this to me, who was not a threat to anybody, how cruel must life have been to them? They have to live with their fear and their cowardice. I get to live above it. So I don't have it in me to hate them because they're not worthy of my hate. All they get is my pity and my prayer. But I'm still working on forgiving them, but it is something I'm working on. So it's a process, right?
I'm going to read this question anyway, but I think we're seeing it firsthand. Have your tragedies been used by God?
I think it's still very early on. I think people will use it to diminish their own suffering, and which is not what I would want people to take away from it. If you need to, use my hardships to put yours into perspective, but don't diminish what you're going through. Because being anxious or having problems with your friend or family member, those things are just as valid and just as serious. So if you need to, use me and the fact that I'm able to do better or move past it, to say that you can do it too, but don't use my pain to diminish yours, because your pain is still real. And you still need to deal with it, but you can still come.
I appreciate it. So I think there's a big question that hasn't been asked, that needs to be asked. And I'm just going to take the time to do it. You can answer it however you see fit. Are you happy?
It's interesting because had you asked me that a year ago, I would have had this super deep answer that would have justified why I would say no to that. I don't think it's about being happy or unhappy, because those type of feelings it's like money, it comes and goes. I'd rather be content. I'd rather be, regardless of the peaks and the valleys, I'd rather be able to ride it through. I'm happy be sitting with my best friend, sitting in front of all of you, sitting in front of the people watching online. Certainly happy with my family, and that everything ended up working out as it did and as God intended. But ultimate happiness I'm thinking of is one day getting to those pearly gates and waiting for my name to be read out that will let me in, my name. Hopefully with my last name pronounced correctly. Knowing God, he would probably say something awkward and then you get scared like, oh, okay, God. like walking through those pearly gates, leaving this broken body behind at the feet of God, and just hearing those words, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." That is when I will consider happiness above contentment. The only thing that would make that day or make me even happier is to share that day with all of you. Because heaven's no fun if you're having a party by yourself. But it's for you all to decide. But either way, in this moment, right now,